Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Namaste and welcome to part 2, subject 5, with a total of 9 verses. Subject 5 is about cheating gurus. Very fascinating. Cheating gurus are not new though. They've always been there, manufacturing their own way of spiritual realization. To get some material benefit, the conditioned soul approaches these pseudo gurus for cheap blessings, but one does not receive any benefit from them, either spiritual or material. In this age of Kali Yuga, there are many cheaters who speak tricky or flowery words, and their followers accept them as God or as divine. One should approach a guru who can actually extinguish the blazing fire of this material world. But people want to be cheated, and therefore they go to these pseudo-gurus who play tricks. These tricks do not mitigate the miseries of the material world. One cannot find spiritual happiness by accepting a false guru. Gurus who are simply interested in this material world are described as andha, blind. Such blind men may lead many blind followers, but they are still not accepted by the self-realized sages. One should therefore approach a bona fide guru. Such a guru does not manufacture gold or juggle words. He is freed from all material contamination and is fully engaged in Krishna's service. And if one is able to obtain the dust of the lotus feet of such a guru, his life becomes successful. Otherwise, he is baffled both in this life and in the next. The Srimad Bhagavatam states, as a blind man, being unable to see, accepts another blind man as his leader, people who do not know the goal of life accept someone as a guru who is a rascal and a fool. So I have now divided the next 8 verses into 3 headings or 3 kind of semi-subjects. 1, the pseudo-guru who is offering sense gratification. 2, the pseudo-guru who says, I am God, you are God. And 3, the pseudo-guru who acts just like a magician and transfers energy to his disciples. I will also give a couple of examples of such gurus. So the first category, sense enjoyment, is all about those who are looking for a guru who will help them how to achieve more economic or sense gratification. And there are always many bogus gurus who are self-interested in these ideals. One such current example is a young man in the Netherlands who has hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram and Facebook, and he posts photos of himself smoking big fat cigars, travelling to all these locations, living a successful life with his girlfriend, and endless quotes of pseudo-spiritual life and the oneness. He is actually an example of categories 1 and 2, because as well as encouraging his disciples in sense gratification, he also espouses the I am God, you are God philosophy. He has no guru. He decided when he was a teenager that he knew more than anyone around him. He didn't need a guru. He tells his disciples that he can change the weather. And they also can change the weather if they believe hard enough. He speaks a lot of word jugglery of impersonalism, such as be like the universe, not like a person. great things will happen without lifting a finger. The grass looks greener on the other side, but don't be fooled. There is no other side in oneness. So this is all his word jugglery. So here are now 4 verses from the Vedas on subject 1, sense enjoyment, and 1 verse about the subject, gurus who purport to be the supreme. From the Nectar of Devotion by Srila Rupa Goswami. One should not accept as a spiritual master someone who is fool number 1, who has no direction according to scriptural injunctions, whose character is doubtful, who does not follow the principles of devotional service, or who has not conquered the influence of the 6 sense-gratifying agents. The 6 agents of sense gratification are the tongue, the genitals, the belly, anger, the mind, and words. The next verse is from the Srimad Bhagavatam 8:24-51. A materialistic so-called guru instructs his materialistic disciples about economic development and sense gratification. And because of such instructions, the foolish disciples continue in the materialistic existence of ignorance. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 7:5-31, it is stated, persons who are strongly entrapped by the consciousness of enjoying material life and who have therefore accepted as their leader or guru a similar blind man attached to external sense objects cannot understand that the goal of life is to return home back to Godhead and engage in the service of the Lord. As blind men guided by another blind man miss the right path and fall into a ditch, materially attached men led by another materially attached man are bound by the ropes of fruitive labour, which are made of very strong cords, and they continue again and again in materialistic life, suffering the 3-fold miseries. So for the 4th verse, Srimad Bhagavatam 4:22-40. Dangerous elements in the universe are compared to sharks in the ocean. Even though one may be a very expert swimmer, he cannot possibly survive if he is attacked by sharks. One often sees that many so-called gurus sometimes advertise themselves as competent to cross the ocean of nescience and to help others cross. But in actuality, they are found to be simply victims of their own senses. Instead of helping their followers to cross the ocean of nescience, such gurus fall prey to illusion represented by the fair sex, women, and are thus devoured by the sharks in that ocean. So now I just have 1 verse for subject 2 on impersonalism, even though there are many in the scriptures. This is from the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi 1:46. A disciple should always respect the spiritual master as a manifestation of Sri Krishna. But at the same time, one should always remember that a spiritual master is never authorized to imitate the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. False spiritual masters pose themselves as identical with Sri Krishna in every respect to exploit the sentiments of their disciples. But such impersonalists can only mislead their disciples, for their ultimate aim is to become one with the Lord. For subject 3, now I have previously mentioned about bogus gurus who produce gold and objects, but there have also been many pseudo-gurus who attract disciples by a performance of transferring energy to that disciple. One such example is a female Indian guru who hugs people and gives them a spiritual jolt. Such a shallow understanding, isn't it? So here are 3 verses in this connection. The first is from the Srimad Bhagavatam 1:12-3. There is a type of spiritual master and disciple much advertised in this age of Kali. It is said that the master injects spiritual force into the disciple by an electric current generated by the master, and the disciple begins to feel the shock. He becomes unconscious, and the master cries from exhausting his store of so-called spiritual assets. Such bogus advertisement is going on in this age, and the poor common man is becoming the victim of such advertisement. We do not find such folk tales in the dealings of Sukadeva Goswami and his great disciple Maharaj Pariksit. The sage recited Srimad Bhagavatam in devotion, and the great king heard him properly. The king did not feel any shock of electrical current from the master, nor did he become unconscious while receiving knowledge from the master. One should not therefore become a victim of these unauthorized advertisements. Ardent hearing from the bona fide master is the only way to receive transcendental knowledge, and there is no need for medical performances or occult mysticism for miraculous effects. The process is simple, but only the sincere can achieve the desired result. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 2.3.20, spiritual understanding is nothing like an electrical charge from the master to the disciple, as foolishly claimed by some propaganda mongers. Everything is full of sense and logic, and the exchange of views between the master and disciple is possible only when the reception is submissive and real. So that concludes just those 9 verses that I read on what is really a big subject. But I will just read one more small quote. Don't try to find a cheap guru or a fashionable guru, just as you sometimes keep a dog as a fashion. If you want to keep a guru as a fashion, I have a guru. That will not help. You must accept a guru who can extinguish the blazing fire of anxiety in your heart. So until we meet again for the next subject 6, Namaste.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare